Hi, I'm Mark Ramsey, and today I want to share with you some horror stories. These are not just any kind of scary stories. These are ratings horror stories. And what could be more horrible than that, right? Now, these are all anecdotal tales that I've heard from people who are variously close to the situation, so you can take them for what they're worth or not. Horror story number one. The Christian station in a large market with a strong ethnic composition discovers that a huge proportion of their listenership, now I'm talking a contemporary Christian station, a huge proportion of their listenership, according to the ratings, is African American. Their ratings are good. All of a sudden, their ratings diminish by a significant amount. What in the world happened? Did the white audience go down? No, not according to the ratings. Did the donations at Share-a-thon time go down? No, not at all. Did calls come into the station saying that they were doing something wrong all of a sudden that would cause their ratings to shrink by half? No. What happened? Well, it turns out one and only one thing, and that is the group of listeners called African American women, 25 to 54, simply disappeared. Ratings horror story number one. Ratings horror story number two. The public radio station in the West, in a market that's not particularly Hispanic, discovers that they have this huge proportion, I'm talking an NPR station, this huge proportion of Hispanic listening. What in the world caused that? Time goes by and all of a sudden, boom, the Hispanic listening vanishes. What in the world happened? Come to find out, there was one household containing about half a dozen people, two of whom were children between the ages of 6 and 12, all listening all day long to this public radio station. And when they exited the panel, well, it's representative, right? Horror story number three, a Canadian market. At least this one's outside America. A Canadian market in the West, 22% Asian. Now you would think 22% Asian, of course there's going to be some kind of differential survey treatment, right? When you've got 22% who are not the same as the other 88%, you would think there'd be some kind of survey treatment to account for them. No, it's just 22%. Come on, 22%. It's not like it's 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4. Come on. That's horror story number three. Horror story number four. And this, thankfully, is the last one. A sports station in a large market. Good ratings, good ratings, good ratings. Whoops, the ratings tank. And the ratings stay tanked. And then, boom, the ratings are back. What happened? Come to find out, there's one guy who got a girlfriend. And then some months later, lost her. That's rating story number four. Now, why do I tell you all these horror stories? Not to in any way suggest that we should altogether ignore the ratings, only to suggest that ratings are one form of input to you and only one form of input to you. Ultimately, what's your concern? Is it doing right by your audience? Is it satisfying an audience? Is it growing an audience? Is it doing right by your advertisers? Is it satisfying your advertisers? Is it growing your advertisers? If it's doing right by these two groups of people, that is something that goes beyond ratings alone. Because at the end of the day, you can have a satisfied audience and you can have a satisfied client base, or maybe you can have ratings.